Introducing the Paddy Power World Darts Championship.
I better join as well, shouldn't I? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome one and all as we come to the end of day 11 of the 2026 Paddy Power World Darts Championship. Dan Simpson here, joining you from up here in Teesside. It's the Dan Show this evening. Two Dans for you. Dan Spedding as well. How are you this evening, my friend?
Oh, I'm good, mate. Just when you think you're going to have quite a normal day, you know what you're going to be watching. We've had a little bit of controversy and a couple of surprises in there, haven't we?
Yeah, I'm not going to be doing too much of looking back on last night's predictions today, mate. Because
have you had a stinker? I haven't caught them with you back.
Because allegedly, some people think I know what I'm talking about, and it's days like today that demonstrate that even those of us that spend as much time as I do watching darts have not a clue what happens under the lights when the action takes place at the Alexandra Palace. What a day.
Just nice to know we don't waste our time here, isn't it?
Oh, honestly, yeah, if you think the amount of time given last night, and although the chat room's already bouncing, we're really busy with everybody tonight getting stuck in, and I expected that because it's been a busy old day. But we're all culpable, I think, both me, everyone in the chat room, for some, predictions last night that were, we thought last night that we'd absolutely nailed it, and look at us now. we were a mile away on some of these.
If you've won a better day, you've done very well. Let's put it that way.
If you've got your acca up with Paddy Power, then the drinks are on you. You've had a cracker of a day if you pick that as an eightfold. But my word, what a day of darts! And even the games that probably went the way that we thought they would weren't as easy for the winners that we maybe perhaps thought they would have been. The chat room's absolutely bouncing. Please don't forget, folks, if you are not subscribed to the channel, you can't get involved in the chat room. So make sure that you click the subscribe button. Make sure you're in there for a bit of banter as we talk through the action from today's games. And then a bit later on, we're going to do some predictions for tomorrow. And we get predictions from everybody. So make sure that you are able through that subscription to get involved as well. We're gonna go all the way back now, and it seems on a day like today, like a very, very long time ago. But I always said, Dan, the only hope we had for you and I for Northeast Darts, was young Callan Ridds. He's and now that has been the case because Dan's first prediction of the day that's wrong. I thought that this opening game was going to be a very comfortable victory for Ryan Joyce against Krzysztof Ratajski. I thought he would just blow him away, and what a fool I look but this was, I think, and I'm happy to say it now after seeing a few, we saw positive signs from Ratajski in Minehead. We've seen a good opening to the World Championships, but he almost looks back to his brilliant best, doesn't he? This is the Ratajski that was ruining things for people, going on rogue runs and upsetting the match play and getting through to a quarter final. But I think it's more about the fact that what a game from Ratajski rather than Joyce. This was brilliant.
Absolutely. Ratajski did to Joyce exactly what I expected Joyce to do to Ratajski.
Yeah.
Just a couple of extra points on the score and taking them big checkouts. I think it was a 135 in the first set. And from there, that just set the tone for the match. Disappointed to see Joyce. I expected him to be a bit tidier at the end of legs and cleaning things up. That's the Ryan Joyce we know. And I think he was below par, particularly by his standards. But Nobody wants to be coming up against the Polish Eagle at the minute, especially, that's not the draw you want to see at all, because he's looking pretty tidy at the moment.
No, so I really thought that Ratajski, I don't want to be negative at all on him, because we have seen some really positive things from him recently, but I was convinced that just that the scoring, right, whilst Ryan Joyce isn't a power scorer, he is without question, I think, one of the best players in the world on the outer ring, and if you allow him to have darts in legs, he will beat you. You've normally got to completely blow him away. And we said on the show last night that what Ryan Joyce will always do is, if you're going to beat him, he'll make you work for it. You will have to turn up and play really well if you're going to beat Ryan Joyce. And I think there was sort of, yes, Krzysztof Ratajski did that. He did turn up and he played a brilliant game of darts, and he scored really well. He finished the back end of legs very well. But Joyce was just felt off the pace. That clinicalness that we see from him on the outer ring, the thing that gets him over the line in legs, it just felt a bit missing today, didn't it?
He did, yeah. I mean, we like to use the terms floor and ceiling quite often when we talk about players on this show. It really felt like Joyce was scraping along the floor today. Usually, even when Joyce's scoring is a little bit off, he will always be in the game, because he'll hit his doubles, second dart worst case, and he's just you can't get rid of him, you can't shake him off, he'll just stick to you. And if he goes and chucks a 12 darter in there, you're in a little bit of trouble. But it just never really felt like that was coming today. It looked like it was real hard work. As I say, I think that 1-3-5 in the first set, it just set the tone, and the momentum never really changed from there within the game. I know Joyce won his set 3-0, but I just never, the performance level just never seemed to kick on. It didn't look like his usual self there. It's a bit of a shame to not put your best version forward of yourself at this tournament of all the tournaments, but that was not the best Ryan Joyce.
No, and you make a really interesting point, and we do talk a lot on this show about floors and ceilings. And one of the reasons that I often get quite confident on Ryan Joyce in games like this, if he's playing a Luke Humphreys or a Luke Littler, then clearly, the scoring will make it hard, because that excellence on the outer ring, he won't be allowed that amount of chances. But the variance in his game, that he doesn't have those peaks and troughs. The top end of the bottom end is generally very close together. But I do think that what we saw from Ryan Joyce today was he just skirted that bottom end for far too much of today, even though the variance in his game is quite tight.
He was in the basement today. It was.
Yeah, it was too much on the bottom end. And Ratajski was just, Bobsy's, put in the chat room there, 9-5 in legs. And he did. Ratajski just blew him away, really. He was just too good for him on the day. And all credit to him. I think it's, as the tournament goes on, and we're going to come to it in a moment, because we've got a big shock this evening. But, I sort of thought the winner of this match was perhaps playing for the opportunity to go out in the third round, if that made sense. And
it's open right up now, isn't it?
And we'll come to it a little bit later, in the show. But now you look at that and you think, oh, this is now, we could see now. Granted, I think in some ways it's made the quarter slightly less interesting, that turn of events, because we've still got that big powerhouse in there. But it does make it interesting. People picking up money, people going to be qualifying for more things next year. And Krzysztof Ratajski, definitely a player on the up and returning to what dragged him up to those top of the rankings and deep in those tournaments a couple of years ago. And I wasn't sure he had it in him, but it is quite refreshing, because we've seen so many players in recent times slip down the rankings. And, they've done very well. We know he's won on the Euro Tour. He's won on the Pro Tour. He had that couple of years, 20 and certainly 2021, where he was regularly making quarterfinals, semi-finals on the TV. But Ratajski is one of those rare players that's sort of had a blip, had like 3 years without really going deep in anything. And all of a sudden he looks like a player again, doesn't he? He seems to have recaptured something.
He does. I'm concerned to say that I believe he's fully back just because of the length of time he's went missing for.
Yeah.
And I do think, not that I want to take anything away from him, he was definitely a worthy victor, and he's played really well there. But he had a lot of it his own way. He never, other than the odd shot, he never really had pressure. He had a 10 higher average. Part of that is him playing well, but he never really had any pressure from Joyce as well. But I don't know what the odds are, but he has to fancy that next round tie. He's the experienced professional. He's been there, done it. He's got to be licking his lips at that. And that's a real chance to put some prize money on the board.
It is. And then and I don't want to do too many spoilers, but then when you start to look a little bit wider and you start to look at, the fourth round, and you think, well, third, I think I probably make him favourite in the third round. I think whoever he plays in the fourth round, he's certainly in with a good chance. He might be the underdog in terms of the bookies, but I think he can turn up and win like he did today. He's going to be a marginal underdog, but really, really good performance from Krzysztof Ratajski. Like really, really, I think on the up, and I think 2026 is going to be a big year for him. Moving on to the second game of the day, and I'm going to say that this was the first shock of the day. That first game, it wasn't what I picked, but there was a few in the chat room that picked it. It wasn't a shock, but I think in the chat room last night we were almost universally convinced that this was a comfortable Joe Cullen win, and Mencija Suljovic now he's behind on virtually every statistic that you can find, other than the fact that he's won more sets than Joe Cullen and got the win. But the average wasn't very good. The doubling wasn't very good. The scoring phase of the game wasn't very good. But he found a way to win. And that's all that matters, Dan.
It does. It was a very ugly game. It was not, other than the drama, which I'm sure we'll delve into a little bit deeper in a moment or two. It was not a game that I would look to watch the highlights of. It's not a game we will ever see on CS, Darts Gold or anything like that.
No, we're not going to see that on a replay.
The history books where it belongs. But look, winners win. Mensa was the winner today, and as I say, I'm sure we'll delve deeply into it, but I don't like it as a fan, what happened, but I don't think he's done anything wrong. At the same time, I think it's
interesting,
enjoyable, but
yeah,
you need to be responsible for how you react to that action, and I don't like this whole blame and cheating thing. I don't think he's done anything wrong. I certainly wouldn't pay to watch it.
No.
And I don't want to see it, but I don't think he should be criticised. At the end of the day, if Joe Cullen went 60% for doubles, average 95, we're not sat here talking about it. The reason we're sat here talking about it is because it worked and it was effective. And now he's got a round 3 tie in the World Championship.
Correct. Well, normally, folks, we come at the back end we talk about the game a little bit, and then we listen to the interview at the end. What I want to do for this is that we've got a snippet, we've got a bit of an interview from Mencija Suljovic. I think we should get into that first, because once we've heard that, then we can have a little bit of talk about some of the accusations that have been thrown around and some of the things that have been said after the game. So let's listen to Mencija first, and then we'll have a bit of a chat.
No, I don't know what's his problem for him. What is the problem? I give him a missed double, everything. I'm never doing what's not correct. This. Maybe I'm going on my fence or come on, and but it's not okay. I like Joe Cullen. He's a very nice guy, but that's it. Only for joke, I swear.
there was a couple of times he was looking at his watch. He thinks you were deliberately playing slow, boy. That's how it looked. What's your thoughts on that?
No, I never play slow. Doing this guy wouldn't come back. I'm not 3 darts here. I stay here. Say, easy, buddy. Easy, buddy. I'm 3 minutes from my game, right? I stay every time here. So, okay. I never do this. That's a provocation. I do it only for my game. I like my game. I'm going to my jog. I'm back here. I never do this for him or that for Willie. Really. Sorry, Joe. Never do this. I love you, man.
See, I'm not convinced. I know that Dan's just relocated himself very quickly into so. I'm the problem I have a little bit, and I'm happy to say is that what I don't like is the word and the accusation of cheating. Like I'm not a fan of that because I'm happy to be proven right and told that I'm an idiot and I'm naive, but I'm not sure that I believe cheating for 2 reasons. First of all, I think that a lot of what Mensah does is for his game. I think he sees himself either not doing something he wants to or needing to do something he wants to, and the way to do it is for him to almost, think more about it, calm himself, throw a few feints, get ready, and then go at it again. And I think that is about him and not whoever he's playing. And secondly, I'm not a big fan. I think the word cheating and cheat is a big word in sport, and for me it means that somebody's broken the rules, and he hasn't.
Can you name the rule?
He hasn't. Like, he hasn't broken the rules, and I don't know what your view is and the view of the folks in the chat room. But for me, I just think like you can only use that. And you can only really say that and point that finger if you don't win the game and don't hit the doubles and don't score well enough. And if you do score well enough and hit the doubles, then it doesn't really matter how the pace that anybody else plays. I'm just not. I don't think it's great. Like, don't get me wrong, it makes for a crap watch. Like, I've been in some rooms watching darts when this sort of thing is, and I've thought, oh my God, I've just walked and gone to the bar because it's not watchable. But I'm not sure cheating is I don't think it warrants that label. I don't know what your view is.
No, I completely agree. It's not what I want to watch. I'm almost annoyed that it was successful today because it might breed that type of behaviour, the fact it has worked. So, which is definitely not what I want to see moving forward. But if he wants to take 30 minutes to throw 3 darts, unfortunately, there is no rule that says he can't. It's not to that extent. Cullen, I don't like the way he has dealt with that loss. It feels like there's no responsibility. He's passed the buck, and instead of addressing the fact he's went out and only averaged 85 and lost 3-1, it's almost as if he's trying to get past that and blame it on Mensah when, as I say, I don't want to see it. I hope that I don't want to see him win playing like that because more people might start playing like that. That's my worry.
That's it.
But he's done nothing wrong. You've got to just put your head on and beat them fairly.
No, and I think Mensah's an interesting character as well, isn't he? Because he's, and he does, in his interview there and the reason I wanted to play the interview first before we sort of got into it was he almost seems sort of confused, like that type of accusation would be made. And now, let us know, Mensah is not new to this dance. He's been around the game for a long time, and these aren't the first times that these accusations have been made of him. But he does sort of think, and I get what he's saying. He said, well, sometimes I do, but I throw 3 darts and they go over there, and I don't want him to go over there. I want him to go there. So I'm gonna like settle myself, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm settled, and I'm gonna take a bit of extra time, and everybody's free to do that. And what we don't see is, and this is it, is it just some complaint that you're playing a player that doesn't play with the same pace as you? Is it just, are people frustrated by playing against Ricky Evans? Because Ricky Evans is really quick. And what you tend to find is people will say, and we know lots of players have done little videos about it, and they've said, like, Ricky's a nightmare to play because you haven't quite walked back to the back of the hockey and it's your go again. Like you haven't had time to settle yourself, and you're forced into this extra, and you then have to try and slow your own pace down and do these things. Whereas, and I've never seen anybody point at Ricky Evans and say he's cheating.
No.
I've always said, Peter,
it's just Ricky Evans.
Yeah, people say that's how he plays the game of darts. And we've seen it, and I was more than happy to go in 2-footed on Dimitri van den Bergh at the UK Open, right? Because we watched Dimitri van den Bergh for years play at a particular pace, and all of a sudden he starts dicking about, and then we can all go, he's having everyone on this lad. Like we can see what's happening. But Mensch has done this for the last 15, 16, 17 years. And to see that is as shocking as it is seeing Ricky Evans throw fast. Like this is, you have to just play the board sometimes. You have to, one of the skills of being a professional dart player on the big stage is you have to not play the player and you have to play the board. And unfortunately, for 2 sets a day, he played the board with an average of 82. And that ain't going to win at the World Championships, or it's not going to win many games at the World Championships. So I struggle for sympathy. And looking into the chat room, I think we're probably, I think lots of people are probably on that boat as well.
I mean, I think that the worrying thing is for Joe Cullen now as well. I mean, he's not in great form, been looking really rocky. I think for players that aren't in the greatest of form, when the Worlds come round, it's a chance to, if you get to a quarter final, you kind of put the year behind you. It was what it was. It papers over the cracks a little bit. It's a chance to kind of erase the past and you kick on to a new year. I mean, if Joe Cullen's starting to play well against me now and I'm struggling, I'm slowing him down.
Oh, well, because
you're going to rattle him. You're going to...
Sometimes players give too much away, don't they? Like he's sent a big message to the world to say, if I'm getting the better of you and you want to get at me, then just do that. Because and it's not a great, you don't sometimes want to advertise your weakness, the things that you find challenging or your weaknesses. But no, I for me, I'm not having it. I think Mensch beat Joe Cullen today. And you've got he won more legs and he won more sets, and that's how darts works, I'm afraid, folks. That's that's what gets you over the line in a darts match. And he sets himself up against a game that we'll name a little bit later on. I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but it's let's be honest, these two lads were playing for the right to go home in the third round. So we'll see what is bringing next.
Yeah, well, we'll go with that for now.
Game number 3, and I was very pleased because on with our counterpart from across the pond from the CDC last night, Anthony Eugenia, and we picked this very, very opposite. I had a very, very comfortable Luke Woodhouse win. He thought it was a comfortable Max Hopp win, and it's very rare, but I was very right. And this was, to be honest, Dan, he went the way I thought it would. Luke Woodhouse, seasoned top end of the game pro, becoming more and more used to going a little bit late and a bit deep in tournaments. And Max Hopp, I don't know if he's a full-time dart player. I think he's a part-time dart player, part-time commentator, part-time content creator. He does a lot with German TV. Brilliant for darts. And I don't think enough good things can be said about what he did for darts in Germany. But he just bumped into a pro at the top end of his game currently. And these guys were just too far apart today.
Yeah, I mean, Woodhouse, it feels like he's a player that's trajectory is still going upwards. We don't know where that is going to peak. I'm not suggesting he's going to make a world final or anything, but it feels like he is absolutely flying right now. The first set, I think he come out and averaged 107. And I know he didn't mean saying that for the rest of the game, but it just felt like that was the message that, look, I can do this. It's going to go the way I want it to go. And I think it just kind of blew any hope that Hop had out the water. I think the game was done within the first set. It was just a formality from then. And I know we're not going to talk about it next, but I'm really looking forward to Woodhouse's next game as well. I think that's a cracking little matchup. That's great. I love it.
Yeah, and I do just think that, you know, what we saw here, and I you know, I did say it yesterday. It's rare I get one right, so I do claim it when I do that. I think that, you know, Max Hop, and I have so much time for Max Hop. I think genuinely what he did for German darts, being that, you know, that first German player to really come through and stamp his authority in that, you know, this recent PDC era, and it did open the door for a lot of other players, but he's so far away, I think, from where he was then. You know, he's moved on a lot in his life, and a little bit of me thinks he was sort of punching a bit to get here, and I think it was almost like a sort of nice little enjoyable tour for him. And I think picking up that win in the opening match against Martin Lukeman, didn't play particularly well. Martin Lukeman's really struggling at the minute, so he was very fortunate with the draw and just bumped into a player that's so far ahead of him at the moment. We do, folks, have we've got a bit of Luke Woodhouse. We've got an interview with him. Don't forget, as ever, what we play you on the show here is just some short excerpts of big interviews, much longer interviews that Phil's got in the venue today. They will all be available in full on the Online Darts YouTube channel following this show. So let's get a bit of a taster of what's in that Luke Woodhouse interview.
Yeah, I mean, look, the tag thing with me at the moment is the highest ranked player to not win a title, which is going to hang over my head until I win one. But you can look at it on the flip side, saying I've been good enough and consistent enough that I'm where I am without winning a title. So, yeah, I think it shows what I've done for the last sort of 18 months. I've, yeah, like I say, probably consistent's probably the right word.
Are you bored of that tag?
I'm bored of the questions, but no. But look, if I think I've said in an interview before, if in 18 months' time or 2 years' time I've still not won a title, then I probably will start getting bored of it. But I'm doing okay at the moment. So my sort of thinking is just do as well as I can all the time, keep picking up prize money, keep picking up ranking points, and then hopefully the rest sorts itself out.
Interesting, isn't it? That because, you know, I do think of Luke Woodhouse among, you know, the top tier of, I know, and he's, you know, not top 10, but, you know, Luke Woodhouse is going to be, as far as I'm concerned, a fairly permanent fixture within sort of, you know, certainly the top 30 of darts. Yeah. You know, going for the next, you know, however long he wants it, I think he's going to be there. Interesting that in his career, he has never picked up a Pro Tour title ever, a Euro Tour. Like he's never won anything. And then you look back over years and years and years on the Pro Tour, and it's like, you know, it is a couple of semi-finals, a couple of finals. He does all his best work on the TV generally, and he is, you know, he's got to where he is, as he says, without never picking up a pot. And it's the maths almost is a bit staggering, doesn't it? You know, how do you sit comfortably, you know, number 22 in the world and arguably, you know, in the ascendancy and never so much picking up so much as a Pro Tour? And when you look at some of the players that have won a Pro Tour, there's some crap in there as well, isn't there? You know, there's some garbage. I mean,
it almost contradicts itself, because part of me is there like, well, has he really got the stomach for a big game? But then the other part is like, he's got to be doing something, right? You know, you get the odd player that will. You'll get some players that will fluke a tournament, get to the semis. Like, if anyone gets to the semis of the world who's outside the top 100, all of a sudden they have, in my eyes, a fake ranking. I know it's legitimate because it's fair, but because of the inflated amount of prize money in the world, it's not really a true reflection of their skill within the sport. He doesn't have any of that. That world ranking he has is 100% legitimate. If he can figure that part out about the big games, can he start to push towards the top 16, do you think?
Oh, 100%. You know, I was just having a look there at his ranking and what his ranking money is made up of. And you know, like you know, you see loads of players with an artificially inflated ranking because there'll be one tournament that's got 100 grand on it and they'll be carrying big lumps of money. And if you go through all those players at the top end of the game, they're all carrying big lumps from here and there. The biggest thing that he's got right at the top of his ranking is he's got 40 grand from the 2024 European Championship. And then you just
his ranking's very safe, and it's not going to dramatically drop down at all, is it? Because he hasn't got that big sum to drop off.
No, and let's be honest, he's always going to qualify for everything, you know, because he's that good. But you look at the next year and you think, well, he's only defending 15 grand at the Slam, he's defending 15 grand at the Grand Prix. He's defending 10 grand at the UK Open. He's defending 10 grand at the match play. Like he's everything that you look at him defending, you look at the fact, A, that he'll qualify, and B, the fact that he'll probably be seeded in a lot of the draws, and think he's probably going to, he can really only go up unless he throws a stinker of a year in, which there's no signs of that happening. He's on the way up, isn't he? It can only go up from here, you'd think.
Yeah, you fancy him to equal or better 80% of his tournaments from 2024. As I say, I'm not sure exactly where the ceiling is. You know, I wouldn't quite go as far as like top 8 or anything like that. But he is going that way, and you never know if he can unlock. I mean, even if it's a pro tour, if he can win one on the floor,
it becomes a habit, doesn't it?
I mean, the see about boxing, when you become a world champion, you get 30% better. I know he's not a world champion, but he's won a tournament. Can that just unlock that 10% that is going to get him over the line in them close games?
Yeah, just feeling like he's a bloke that wins things, feeling like he gets to finals and does.
Just I'm going to take out this 1-2-4 in the last leg. Just that belief, like it could unlock something. But yeah, I mean, I think he's in cracking form. And I'm really looking forward to his next game.
Right, final game of the afternoon. We'll come to the next games a little bit later on. But we saw Rob Cross defeat Ian White 3-1. And this, for me, Dan, was just a really much wanted and needed continuation of, I'm not going to say a return to form, because at his best, by word, like what a player Rob Cross can be, and we haven't seen that yet. And the phrase I'll go with is, this continues a steadying of the ship. Things were
absolutely.
You know, we've talked about people going this way, and things were going that way for Rob Cross. And I think sometimes he's just got hold of that rudder and he's steadied the ship, hasn't he? And Rob, it was another well played game, but it was another game, as Bobsy says there, wasn't played under too much pressure. Ian White, again, he'd sort of done his money, you know, getting through the first round. That was about where we thought he'd get to, and it was a bit procedural, even though good positive for Rob Cross.
It was, yeah. I mean, it wasn't vintage voltage. Let's put that out there. It wasn't the big 1-4-4s, you know, going from the 18s down to the 19s, double. It wasn't quite that, but it was good enough. And if you set a Rob Cross before the tournament, you can be going into Christmas still in the tournament, only dropping one set, he would have absolutely snapped your hand off. Doesn't matter how he's played, he's through. I still don't know if we can get that old voltage back. I haven't seen it yet, so I am on the fence, but he's doing what he needs to for now. The only issue is I don't think he can have too many more of them where he's going to get away with that level of performance now. We need to see that improvement in the next couple of games soon.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure. I didn't pick him to come through the first game. I genuinely didn't. He made a fool of me. And well, he didn't. Cordecker did, because I'd seen a lot from Cordecker in the run up to the World Championships that made me think he could elevate his game to where, or beyond where Rob Cross's had been. Rob Cross has regained some of that form. He's looked a lot more steady. I do still think that even into his next game, that's a very winnable game for him. You know, he was always on a hiding. He was, you know, you start at the very beginning, you look at the bracket and you think, oh, he's got to beat Luke Littler even to make a quarter. The seeding's done him in a little bit. And, you know, but then I think, well, the challenge for Rob Cross, I think a massive achievement is getting that game with Luke Littler. You know, if he can get to that game, then first of all, he's had to win 4 games to get there. And he can take a lot of pride from that, because he hasn't won 4 games in a row for a long time. And also then there's no shame in getting sent home by the kid, is there? You know, nobody can, you know, if that's who sends you home, you go home and go, yeah, you know, this is darts these days. This is how it happens. So, you know, I do think Rob Cross continues to just steady that ship. It's quite a long one as well. And it is only a small section. So don't forget, folks, in full, you can hear Rob Cross on the Online Darts YouTube channel after this show. So check that out when you get chance. But for now, let's hear a little bit of what Rob Cross had to say to Phil Bars a bit earlier today.
I can't answer it. I stopped taking me tablets. You know, it's one of them, innit? And I was on them, you know, I feel low in life, like we all do. Too guilty, yeah, to speak out for it, like we do. But at the same time, no, I just stopped, and I just thought to myself, I'm better off being mates with the person what's inside, instead of trying to shut him off, you know, with no emotions. And that's the way I felt in that. So I stopped him before I come. I feel okay. I feel great. It brings the hyperness out instead of trying to lock saying away, because that's what they've done to me.
This is a very topical thing at the moment, mental health in sport, but it's been very spoken about here at Alexandra Palace and dart players, and we've seen it on the stage and so on, and you talking about it there. Is that something that not just darts but sports in general needs to do better at, is the mental health aspect and making sure sportsmen, people are okay in life?
I've suffered with that for a long time, and I'll probably a first interview, what I'd ever admit to it. You know, and a long time before darts, we all get low and we all get thingies, and we grow up and we think to ourselves that we should be stronger instead of being weaker, and you can't show that side, and that's where I'm at. I'm guilty for not expressing myself to the people what I trust with my own life, you know. So if I can't talk to them, what chance have I got to go and do other stuff? But what I would say, you know, having good people around you, anyone what you trust, anyone what wants to help, if you have got that and you do feel like that, you need to speak up. You know, it's going to eat you away eventually. And anyone out there what feels like that, they need to try and find a good person to do right and do the right thing for them.
I think it's up there with one of the bravest interviews I remember seeing at a World Championships. You know, I've seen people sat down, you know, Phil's done it a few times where he, you know, sat people down and talked to them. And we've seen dart players sit and say things, but often it's in an environment where it's a bit contrived. You know, it's almost in a studio. You know, they've been sat down and they've talked about it, and they've almost come with a bit of a script of like, I'm prepared to say this. I'm gonna, you know, talk to the world about this thing. We've seen people do it on podcasts. It's incredibly rare to see somebody do it as sort of raw and unprepared as that was. It's vastly, I genuinely believe, important for people like him to say, because Rob Cross isn't a periphery player in the world of darts. You know, this is a former world champion, people listen when he speaks. I know that because I get to see the numbers at our back end when we put an interview out with him. And I know that when Rob Cross's name is on something, people will listen, people will watch. I think it's massively important. I think it's incredibly brave. I'm probably going to peck Phil's head at some point that we can shoehorn something early next year into the live lounge where we maybe, in between, because there's a few weeks where there's not much going on in darts early in the year, and we can maybe do a little bit of something where we talk about mental health in darts a little bit, because I think it's probably a good opportunity when we've got a duff week, and there is enough of it being talked about. But I don't really want to talk too much about it. I don't want to analyze it because it is what it is, isn't it? But I just think it's incredibly brave and very honest, and I'd love to see more of it, or more people feeling free enough to talk like that.
Yeah, I don't want to go too deep into the specifics because everyone's journey with that is very personal. I don't know Rob, so I don't want to talk about his personal journey. I don't feel like that's fair. It sounds like wherever he is, he's at a point where in his own mind he's comfortable with it. Whatever is going on, it sounds like he understands himself and he understands where he is. And very brave of him standing up there. If at the end of the day, there could be a 16-year-old lad that watches that interview that just needs to see that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
or even a 45-year-old man.
Or a 40-year-old bloke that thinks, "Oh yeah, it's not just me." And that is something that it's like really important because it's. I think, and it's not. I often think it's unfair in some ways that you get these people who are in the position they're at because they're really, really talented at darts. Right. Yeah. And they never really asked to be role models. They never asked to be mental health ambassadors. They never really wanted to be all these things that they end up being. What they were was really good at darts. And that's what, that's sort of what they did. But then what happens is over the years, they end up, being all these other things to so many other people, especially if you're going to be a player who wins a world championship. Because if you put yourself at, or if you create a scenario where you are at the very peak of the game, at the very top, then you will always get people, grown men, children, women, everyone else that will look at you and they will care about what you have to say, even if it's fucking nonsense. Like there's enough world champions around that's complete and utter shit. And we're pretty good normally at calling them out on it in this show. Like we don't normally let them get away with it. But that means people are listening. So for that reason alone, then, I raise my glass to Rob Cross for having the balls to come out and have a chat and tell everybody that, that's his crack and that's where he's at. So, top marks. Right, this evening, because everything went to plan this evening as well, didn't it?
It's just normal, mate. We can just skip past it.
Crikey. Well, what I will say went to plan, because he's another pick that I'll claim that I got absolutely bang on the nose. Martin Schindler, a 3-0 victory over Keane Barry, which again is it's pretty much what I expected. I do think Keane Barry gave a really, really good account of himself. I think 3-0 is 3-0 is a completely unfair scoreline. Like his average 95, he's well over 50% on his doubles, his checkouts better than Martin Schindler's. But set play, I'm afraid, right things at the right time, and the German got the job done in the way that I thought.
German performance, wasn't it? It was efficient. It was ruthless. Nothing was really wasted. It wasn't particularly flashy. It was, if I had to pick a German darts player and a German darts performance, that's just what it was. I did feel a little bit bad for Barry. I would have liked to maybe see him pick up a set, just as I see it. He didn't get over the line in key moments, but I don't think he did too much wrong. I think he played quite well in large spells.
3-2, 3-2, 3-2. He's lost.
Yeah.
Essentially, he's sort of the story of the match is he's lost 3 legs. Like it's just that those were, he's lost 3 legs, and those 3 legs were deciding legs. He's been broken. And granted, he's been broken twice, so he had the darts, he's averaged well, he's played very well, but I don't think there's any disgrace at all in Keane-Barry. The 3-0, I think, is probably a bit unfair. But Martin Schindler, again, just, the wall, solid. Yeah. Like, he was
Someone
just
going to need to put in a real performance to beat that. That was impressive. You need well into the 3 figures to beat that.
Yeah, it's that, and I don't even know if it is, because I don't think it's bottle, and I don't think it's in those deciding legs. I think it's almost like control, because he seems so composed. I think we see players and we say they've showed a load of bottle, but that's normally when we've seen them like get a bit worked up and a bit, and then compose themselves to do something. That's normally where we say they've shown a lot of bottle. Whereas with him, I just think it was like you see, German efficiency. It was just like, I'm just going to keep robotic almost. Just, do this, win that leg, move on. Next one. What's next? Like, really top performance. Really good.
I mean, I think he hit 76 to win the match. And first one is in the middle of the treble 20. He missed the double 8 with his second dart. And not for 1 second did I doubt he was going to pin double 8 on his third dart. It was like, he's had his miss. He's going to correct that now, and this is game over for Keane-Barry.
Yeah. Really impressive, though. Martin Schindler moves on. Keane-Barry, again, I think only positives really from that. And, it'll hurt. It will hurt to play that well and get beat 3-0. But I think, I know Keane-Barry, he's a clever lad with good people around him. And I think when he goes away, he will be able to sort of look at that and think, actually, I played really well. My game's in a good spot. I am a good, I'm capable. I've just been done, and it was a bit unfortunate for him, but it is what it is. So.
Yeah, the other night, apologies, I can't remember if it was Bobsy or Bobby's Bob when we were talking about Keane-Barry.
There's a lot of Bobs in our chat room.
There is, so I'm really sorry, guys. If
so many Bobs in the chat room.
But after his first round side, they said he played like a player that's 58th best in the world. That is the difference. That is the gap right there. What we're seeing, that is where you need to be if you want to progress.
Yeah, 100%. And it was a bit of a shame for him, but a smashing performance by Schindler.
Yeah.
Game number 2 this evening. I think pretty much everyone predicted this. I think pretty much everyone in the chat room last night, all of us on the show, I've been saying from day one, I'll tell you what happens to Price. Like, he thinks he's going to win it, but he'll get turned over by Wesley Placia 3-0. What, Dan?
Brilliant result for our sponsors, Paddy Power, wasn't it?
Oh, I tell you what, Paddy Power, the darts of destiny is one thing, but those lads will be high-fiving strangers on the night bus home this evening, because I think they've just recovered that money in all of the lost bets, both for this game and all of the each-way bets on the tournament as well outside. But what went wrong, Dan? Because this should have been really easy. He should have blown him away.
But I want to start. I don't want to discredit the win, because Price wasn't perfect and he can play better than that. But this isn't like Gerwin Price come out there and threw an 80 average and missed 4 darts at double every leg. He got a real good game put on him. And he pushed back a little bit, but he could not handle what was being thrown at him. It was an unbelievable performance. And I thought at some point, as we see Price do, he breaks people in a darts match. Even when someone's playing better than him, he will take a tump plus check out. He will just do something at the right time. He'll hit the booyah. And then it's game on. It's a different game. And he's changed it in a second. And that just didn't happen. It was I'm a little bit sad about what it does to the tournament down the line and kind of future plans that we've all dreamt about in our heads.
We all want big stories, because also that whilst he's lost this match, we know the ceiling for Gezzy's so high that we know he's one of those players that when we're all chatting, thinking, who could hit a 9 darter, who could do this, who could Garrett Littler, like Gezzy Price is the name that keeps coming around. And when you take him away, obviously a lot of that conversation, a bit of that excitement goes away. But Wesley Placia, obviously, taking off the weight, he played incredibly well. But this is a man that for a couple of years, I was quite happy saying that Wesley Placia was the best player in that WDF circuit.
Yeah.
He won the WDF World Masters twice. He had a really deep run in the to the quarterfinals of the World Championships in the WDF. I thought he was going to win the World Championship that year as well. Between those World Masters wins, he was brilliant in that environment. Is this game? We've seen him done well at minor. We've seen him do well in bit patches in the PDC. Do you think that this could be almost his coming out party? This is him taking a really big scalp on TV in the PDC and, setting up. He's had a decent year on the Pro Tour this year. We've seen quarterfinals and semi-finals on the Pro Tour. He really, really could kick on from this. And even if he doesn't get through, really deep in the tournament, this is a real platform for him, isn't it?
To an extent, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying I think he's going to go and win 4 majors next year.
Agreed.
But if beating Gerwyn Price, outplaying Gerwyn Price, and whitewashing Gerwyn Price can't make you feel good mentally about where your darts game is right now, I don't know what ever will.
No.
Like, that is got to be such a confidence boost. I mean, he probably knew he could do it in any way, but he will have expected to be in for a real game tonight. And he's just walked through it. It wasn't like he stole legs at the right moment.
No, he beat him
all the time.
Beat him. Yeah, that's the thing. He didn't nick it. He didn't edge him. He beat him. He properly won that game. That was it. It was as good a performance as we've seen in terms of like gameplay. Like he was ahead in that game, and he didn't get shook, and he didn't bottle. He was never looked under pressure, and he didn't react to anything that was going on, and it almost didn't feel for lots of that game like he was playing Gerwyn Price, or he didn't almost recognize it. It just felt like he was just playing a game of darts, and he didn't seem overwhelmed by the occasion, did he?
I mean, if you didn't have the little number next to Price on the scoreboard, and you said to someone who's never seen a game of darts, who is one of the world's best players here, they wouldn't have picked Price.
No. It was
like it.
And coming back to Price, we'll hear from Wesley Placia in a moment, because we've got a little bit of his interview, and so we'll have a little listen. But like, Gerwyn Price has insisted to anyone that would listen, he was winning this tournament. And I think I think in the space of an hour, he went from everyone being trying to convince everyone he was going to win it, to me looking at the order of merit and thinking, well, looking at the fixtures and who plays who, I'm not sure he finishes this tournament in the top 10. And I think he's going to become quite a challenging Premier League pick, because he hasn't done a lot in terms of, yes, he's had a huge career. He's an amazing player, but he hasn't picked a trophy up. We've seen a lot of semi-finals from him this year. He hasn't picked an individual trophy up in a ranking tournament since 2021. It's a long time. He's since then he's picked the World Series. He picked up the World Series Finals trophy in 2022. I don't count that; it's an exhibition. And he picked up 2023 the World Pairs. he had the World Cup, but an individual ranking tournament on the telly. Gerwyn Price hasn't lifted a pot since 2021 when he won the Grand Slam. It's a tough shout for the Premier League, I think, when you've got some serious players that are going to be ranked above him that have won trophies very recently. Clayton is likely to go deeper if you want a Welsh pick in the World Championships, and is going to be ranked significantly above him in the order of merit. Where does Gezi Price go from here? How quick do you think he can recover this?
That's
He's not won anything for bloody ages.
I mean, Price has it in him. Like we know that. Like, and him not being in the Premier League is mind blowing to even consider. Because I think when Price plays his best darts, other than the two Lukes, I think he can beat anyone in the world. See, best darts for best darts, I think he's up there. But the stats read themselves, you know. 2021. I don't know where he goes from here because, you know, we have a little bit of a dry spell going into January. We don't have any kind of big tournaments coming up. And Price without the Premier League, that just seems like a foreign thought.
Well, if you think he's out now, if Josh Rock wins his next game, Josh Rock leaps Price in the order of merit.
Yeah.
And the top four are already in, so there's only 4 more spots. And it's going to, you know, how do you look at that and look at the year everyone's, you know, and how do you pick Price over Rock? And without just admitting that it's an exhibition and people, you know, it's just,
well, that's a conversation for another evening.
It is a conversation for the night. And before we get dragged too deep into it after 56 minutes on the show, let's have a little listen. We'll drag ourselves back to reality. Keep away from the Premier League for now and listen to what Wesley Placia, very short clip this, I don't know what he could have said in 16 seconds, but let's have a listen to what Big Wes said to Phil Vaz after this game.
Yeah, the Masters title, of course, this my biggest title I ever won. And especially the second time, it was harder than the first time. But no, this win is definitely number one.
Biggest win of his career. Hard to disagree. Hard to, like, you know, I know those WDF titles are big. I think he's earned more money from these than he earned from those WDF titles. So he certainly picked up a few quid, and it's made that section of the draw, certainly that next game, very interesting, because I did not expect a third round match between Wesley Placia and Krzysztof Ratajski. That was not on my bracket when I predicted everything going through. You know, one of those players, Wesley Placia or Krzysztof Ratajski, is going to be in the last 16.
That's a nightmare to pick as well, because I feel like I have no right to disrespect either one of them, given the performance they have put in this evening. But you have to pick a winner, and I have no idea at the moment.
And one of those two players is a last 16 in the World Championships this year, which I didn't pick 3 weeks ago. I would have looked at that and went, no, they can't. You know, it didn't work. Anyway, right, moving on. Game number 3 this evening. And I'm going to give all the credit where I think it is due here, because Luke Littler turned up and he did what Luke Littler does. If anything, he probably started a bit slow and didn't really do all that Luke Littler does. But I thought that David Davies was absolutely superb here. I'm prepared to forgive him some wobbly doubles in that scenario on that stage against that kid. You know, David Davies, I sat on the stream and watched him qualify from this event without a tour card, without any real hope of ever achieving, you know, this type of a run, and then picking up a win and then setting himself up with a game that is you know, let's be honest. I just think if you're going to turn up as a qualifier and you're not going to win it, you might as well play the young one, mightn't you? Like, you might as well.
Rocky Balboa, isn't it?
100%, yeah.
Went in against Apollo. He's given him a go. I would have loved to see him pick up a set just so he could walk away. Like, it wasn't a whitewash. It was 3-1.
And 3-0 is cruel, I think. I genuinely think 3-0 is cruel. He, like David Davis, you know, he's average 95. What's he? Hang on, where are we? What's the average? 95.53. Like, he's right up there with Luke. Like, his doubles weren't quite there, but, you know, some of those sets, his average, you know, that opening set, his average was well above Luke's. Just didn't take advantage of the doubles that he needed to do. He had darts to win that set and he couldn't quite get it done. He was always just being there, overachieving, I feel, David Davis. And that, I think you've got to sum it up, as harsh as it sounds on him, that it was just, I do feel sorry, and I'm sorry for rambling, but if Davis had offered more, Luke would have just gone up a gear. I think Luke just was sort of like that. Just, he was holding him there while the punches swung underneath, and and Luke just had him at arm's length, didn't he? And I think if Davis had have brought more, Luke would have just gone up a bit.
Yeah, as much as Davis played really, really well, and he's give Littler a really good work out there. Like, Luke Littler will be better in this tournament.
Which is good for Littler, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was a good old run out. It was a spar, so to speak, a good sparring match for him. But yeah, as you see, it felt like we never seen him go serious, Luke, at any point tonight, where he stares down that treble 20 like it owes him money. We never had to see that tonight. He looked like he showed up, he was comfortable, he was doing a job. And the thing about the world is we probably won't see Luke get tested till round 5, the quarterfinals or something. I was having this conversation. Yeah, well, there you go.
I think I think everyone, and because now we're not doing spoilers, we can all say there are very, very few people, very few, that picked a quarterfinal in this quarter that wasn't Luke Littler against Gezi Price, because it just made sense, didn't it? And every scenario you just sort of thought, well, of course, and I don't care who you are, like nobody picked Wesley Percier to whitewash Gezi Price. Like, it just doesn't. I
do feel like Wesley has robbed that of me as well.
Yeah, he's robbed that.
As much as I'm happy for him. I am a bit gutted that he stole that from.
Well, that's when the 9 data was coming, wasn't it? In that match.
Yeah.
Like the 9 data was coming in the quarterfinal between Gezi and Luke. That's when, and I didn't know who it was coming from, but that's when the 9 data was coming, and that's gone. That's gone now. But no, I think David Davis. He's picked up 25 grand, which I tell you what, if you haven't got a tour card, it's a hell of a pickup for 3-4 weeks work, because he only qualified a few weeks ago on the stream here, and now he's walking away with 25 grand in his pocket. I think he's a massive threat at Q School, and for the sake as well that when he gets to Q School, everyone's going to remember him as that bloke that played really well against Luke Littler on telly. Like people, like he's now, and he's got that fear factor now that he was on the World Championship stage, on the Paddy Power stage, and he beat Mario van den Bahara, and he gave Luke a run for his money, and he scored really well. He bashed them all up at the qualifier, and I think he goes into Q School as a real threat. And I will be, as we always do every year, folks. We stream every minute of Q School. It's the best stream of the whole year. It's utter chaos. But every single dart of Q School is I think the only channel in the world that streams it all. And I will be rooting for David Davis to pick up a tour card. We do have a little Luke Littler interview. Of course, we hear from Luke. Again, it's only just a short one. So after this show, you can pick up the interview in full. But let's have a little listen to see what Luke made of it.
Yeah, I had a little watch. Didn't take too much notice on what Mensah was doing. Obviously, we all know he flicks his flight quite a few times before he throws, but yeah, I didn't see anything wrong. But obviously Joe felt what was up, and obviously he spoke out about it. And obviously if he tries anything to try and put me off or slow me down, then obviously I've got to be ready for it. No, it's not cheating. That's just how he plays. Obviously, like I said, I took a bit of notice of the match, but obviously Joe's felt like he's slowed it down. It's not cheating. It's just for Mensah, obviously, he flicks his flight, and obviously he's doing it until he feels settled. And if he does it, obviously, a bit longer against me, then I just have to wait for him and throw my darts.
Well, that was, what he said. that's it's pretty much what you and I both said earlier on, isn't it? Like that is, it's not cheating. It's with it. It's about him, and it's about how he plays his darts and what he does, and I think Luke. Yes, he's supremely talented. I do think he has an unbelievably good mindset, and his ability to adapt and to do things is top tier. But that you wonder what that game could have been if Joe Cullen could have adopted that attitude. If Joe Cullen could have said, "This is just how he is, and I just have to deal with it, and I can only control me." Like you have to make your peace with what you can and can't control, and you can't control the pace of the bloke you're playing. But you can control how you deal with it and react to it. And Joe Cullen didn't today. And Luke Littler, I think, will.
I mean, there's a lot of differences between Luke Littler and Joe Cullen. Don't get me wrong. But Luke Littler completely understands he has no God-given right to tell Mensah Suljovic how to play darts.
No.
And he doesn't expect him to
for it, yeah.
play by the way he wants him to. He understands Mensah will do what Mensah does, and whatever he does, I have to be better than that. Joe. We'll skip past Joe Cullen. I'm shocked he didn't come to that, but we've wasted enough time
I think that's a really, really interesting way to put it, and I think that's it's probably the best I've heard it summed up. He doesn't have the right to tell someone else how to do something within the rules. Like, granted, if he's taking a piss and throwing them from where then there's a set of rules there for a reason. There's a referee on stage. There's people behind the stage watching what everyone's doing to make sure everything's done properly. But if he feels that he's not ready to throw that dart and he's getting himself ready, you've just got to deal with that. In the same way that if you haven't quite got back to your table yet and Ricky Evans has already rattled a 180 in, you've got to deal with that as well. Like, you can't have it that one way is a bit uncomfortable and the other way is cheating. Like, it's just the way that it is. But as I think everybody in the world expected, Luke Littler motors in to the next round very, very comfortably on the score sheets, but a top performance from David Davies. In this last game of the day, where Damon Heta just got over the line in a deciding set against Stefan Belmont. And this was another one of those games, Dan, where throughout this game, I probably changed my mind 3 or 4 times who I thought was going to win. Then I was convinced that we were going to sudden death. I was even debating changing the start time of the stream because I thought, I think we're probably going to sudden death here. I don't think. And Damon Heta did in the end what we haven't seen him do anywhere near enough of this year. Damon Heta, as much as I really, really love him as a player, and I think he's a really top bloke as well, has made a habit of, first of all, going out in the first round of TV tournaments, but just finding a way to lose, like, and snatching defeat from the jaws of victory this year on television. And this, I think, was a huge step, like a really big thing for Damon Heta, because he got tense. And if he'd have wobbled, and if he hadn't have done what he had to do at the right time, he was bollocksed and he was out and home. And for the first time, I think, since last year's World Championships, he was able to dig in and get the job done.
Absolutely. He's won a scrap tonight. He's had to really, really fight for that. There's still obviously concerning signs. I think that first set average was low 70s. That can't really afford to happen again for the rest of the world if he's to have a run. But if coming through a game like that, where he went to the well, they were breaking each other constantly. There was nothing between them. I think the first 4 sets were 3-1 either way. They both had each other's number to a respect. Oh, he changed his darts back as well.
Yeah, Juanita's a quick shout for Juanita. We've not noticed her in the Fallout bar this week, but Damon Heta's playing, and I know she's down in Australia, so but that good welcome, Juanita. And I know it's probably just the Damon Heta effect that's bringing you in tonight, but it's great to see you back in the chat room. But yeah, interesting that he's gone back to those old darts, isn't it?
I like to see it, because sometimes when you see players trying to constantly persevere with new darts that just aren't working, I like them to have the humility that they can say and go, look, this change hasn't worked. I can go back to where I was before and I can recapture what I had. So I do like to see it. Still think there's a long way to go. However, he hasn't got that scary of a round 3 tie. I think if you offered either of them players that round 3 tie, they'd snap your hand off for it.
It's an interesting one in that. So Damon Heta playing Rob Cross, I think that could be like it. I genuinely think it's one of those games where we could see anything at all. They could both average 104, or they could both average 72. It could be a race to the top or a race to the bottom, I think. And I think we might get in set play a bit of everything. I think we might see sets up here and sets where it all falls apart, and then sets where one dominates and sets where the other dominates. And I think it's a game I'm actually quite excited to see.
You don't know what's going to happen. You want to tune in to find out, at least. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm willing to commit some time to see that. We do have Phil has been a busy boy. He's nipped in the back end while we've been on the show and got the interview with Damon Heta in the back. So we've got a snippet of the Damon Heta interview when it will be over the moon, but I'm sure she'll be checking out the interview in full on the Online Darts YouTube channel. But let's have a little bit of a taste for what Damon had to say.
Yeah, like I said, I worked hard. I really worked hard to get an opportunity, work hard for the opportunity, but when it comes, you got to take it. Bloody take it, because he's taken them. And that was it. I was like, when he missed, there was a crucial time there where he missed 2 darts at something, and I took it. Oh, I was like, oh, yes. Like, it just... Like I said, I worked really hard there, and I reaped some rewards. That was, absolutely insane. So for myself, I'm just really proud. I think more or less at the start, I had a lot of expectation with a lot of outside people, because I came on the scene, I won whatever, but then I rise up the ranks pretty quick, I'd like to say. Not the quickest of a lot of people, but within most. I got to here, got to there. And then when you don't perform, when it's a big stage or whatever, it's, well, he should be doing this, he should be doing that. But in a quick succession, well, I'm still a learning curve, you know what I mean? So for me, I feel like I've got a lot of longevity in the game. So it's whether I win, it's not going to change my life. I feel I'm always going to be there, and I'm going to make a good living, and I'm going to play darts for... don't get me wrong, I'd love to win everything and be really great and a massive spur of winnings, but at the end of the day, I'm doing all right, so I can't complain. And yeah, that's just me. I'm just a hard worker, and I always work hard, and that's why I believe I'll always be in the game for however long I choose, rather than me slipping down and falling out.
He seems to be tuned in all right, doesn't he? I'm quite happy with where he's at, I think, based on that interview.
It felt like there was a weight lifted off and he could breathe a little bit, but he was also a bit nervous about putting too much pressure on himself at the same time. It felt quite calculated for him and level-headed there, definitely.
Right. We move on, folks, to today, I'm afraid.
It's usually today by the time we get around.
Depending on the tournament, often I get to say we move on to tomorrow's fixtures. But this World Championship is not being as kind to us, folks, I'm afraid. With 8 games a day to talk about, we generally don't. It normally takes about half an hour to get to predictions. When we do, so we do this show after every single Premier League night, and it's like that rapido. We're off after about 40 minutes, on and off, done. Right, thank you very much. Good night. But it's a long old slog at the World Championships. 8 games today, 8 games tomorrow. So we have got to the time of night where we are doing predictions in the chat room. Get your predictions in. We'll share them. We'll laugh at them if they're absurd. There's a few funny old games tomorrow and some interesting ones to predict. Dan, I'm going to come to you first with the opening game of the day tomorrow, where Darren Beveridge beats Madars Razma, 2 players who I think I and probably many others weren't convinced that would be here in the second round. You know, they both could have been got out. They both were a bit, but they're here. Who wins?
It's a real pick 'em. It's not an easy one. And I don't think it's going to be a whitewash either way. I think this could be a 3 p.m. second match start time or something along them lines. I think it could go all the way. I'm going to pick Razma just to edge it, just because of the experience, but I wouldn't fight somebody if they told me it was going to go the other way at all. I think it's really, really tight and a difficult one to pick.
Yeah, now, I'm pretty much the same. So I'd almost I think it's a pick 'em, exactly like you said. I think it's almost a toss of a coin. And I had sort of made my mind up to go opposite what you said. I thought, well, whoever he goes to, I'll go the opposite way. It'll make it interesting. And then when you said Rasma, I sort of went, yeah, I think Beveridge is going to win. Like it almost really. And I thought, yeah, I just think I don't know whether he's had perhaps an easier time of it in that earlier round. He certainly performed slightly better in his game against Dimitri van den Berg than we saw from Rasma against Van den Henrik. I'm going to go Darren Beveridge winning 3. Depends how those 19s go, doesn't it? 3-2.
He can't be the best 19 hitter in the world.
Yeah, he can be, but it's just not. He hasn't looked it recently, has it? And that's the problem. 3-2, Darren Beveridge. Let's have a look in the chat room. Bobsy is in there. He's gone Beveridge winning 3-1. Kevin Bradshaw's gone Rasman winning 3-2. I think we'll probably split this. I think it'd be a bit even. I know there's a few Scottish lads in the chat room that will be leading. They'll be going heart over head. James has gone 3-2, Rasma. Ducky Baker's gone 3-1, Rasma. Paddy is 3-1. Beveridge, all box up, Rasma 3-2. Malachi Beveridge 3-2 winner. Stockport Mackham's gone Rasma winning 3-2. Ice cold Darren Beveridge. Phil Barrs in the chat room must be on either on his way home or back in the hotel after the venue. 3-1 victory predicted there by Phil. Dan Lucas has gone Beveridge winning 3-2. And Juanita has said Rasma 3-2. So I think we've really split the chat room there.
Not one whitewash at all predicted.
No, nobody's gone 3-0. And I think, we literally said both of us toss of a coin. We've gone one each just to balance it. And the chat room's pretty much gone straight down the line with that as well. I think this is a bit of an easier one to predict. And I'll go first on this because I put you under pressure for the first one. And I think Wessel Nyman is a very comfortable winner against Gabriel Clemens. I think Gabriel Clemens had it all his own way against Alex Spellman. He had nothing coming back at him. I don't think that was the case for Wessel Nyman, and he still managed to pop a 3-0 win, averaging over a ton. I think Wessel Nyman is due. He's so due a real coming out party on a PDC stage. It could be here. I'm not sure just yet, but I don't think that Gabriel Clemens is the one to spoil that party. So I think, as Phil said, because I also quite like WrestleMania as a little tag, I think WrestleMania 3-0 tomorrow.
Yep, I think you've made a lot of very fair points there. The only thing I disagree with is that I'll give Clemens a set. I think it's
very kind
3-1. Yeah, very generous this evening. Christmas spirit and all that, but
it's very kind of you
to come out with anything else there, isn't it?
Well, it's very kind of you, Dan, and I'm only saying that because I'm having a quick skim down the chat room, and I don't think there's many people being as generous as you because I'm having a quick skim down. Bobsy has gone Wessel Nyman winning 3-0. Kev's giving him a set. He agrees with you. Nyman winning 3-1. All boxed up. James and Ducky Baker all going 3-0. They are agreeing with Phil Barrs. Malachi has gone 3-1 Nyman. He's given Nyman a set as well. Dan Lucas has gone Wessel winning 3-0. Paddy's gone 3-2. He's got it a bit tighter. Juanita always likes to mix it up. Juanita's gone Clemens winning 3-2. That'll be an interesting game if it goes, first of all, to a deciding set, and second of all, with the German getting over the line. And Stockport Mackham has gone Nyman 3-1. Very heavy in the chat room and here on the show for Wessel Nyman tomorrow. I know a few guys that are particularly close to Wessel Nyman that will be sat in the friends and family area with him tomorrow. So they do tune into the show sometimes as well. So do shout up. I know that there's a few of Wessel's friends that do tune in. So they may have slipped a few predictions in there. I
don't think it would have altered the
yeah, I know there's a few 3-0s that I think are might be quite weighted in there. game number 3, a game that will have the eyes of a continent on it, because the president has said, "You're watching this tomorrow." This is what's going on.
I want like the president of Kenya to walk out behind him with like a world championship belt.
The president of Kenya has decreed this is on national. It's on the national broadcaster tomorrow, and you're all watching this. David Munywa against Kevin Dukes. Kevin Dukes, a man who has caused upsets on this stage before. Tomorrow wouldn't be an upset if he got over the line at all. Is the dream coming to an end for David Munywa? Is there a set in it for him? What do you think, Dan?
I hope I'm wrong, but it's 3-0 Dukes, isn't it? I know we got past Mike De Decker, but Mike De Decker was absolutely pony in that game. Let's be honest. He was terrible. He wasn't hitting his doubles. There were some brilliant moments in there, but it was a poor standard. And I just think Dukes has got more than that.
Yeah, as boring as it sounds, I'm still convinced. And, you know, with the greatest of respect to Mr. Munywa, he didn't beat Mike De Decker. Mike De Decker beat Mike De Decker.
Yeah.
Mike De Decker was 100% responsible for that loss, not David Munywa. And it's a piss easy 3-0 win, I think, tomorrow. Kevin Dukes is a player, by the way, like a real player. He's caused some big upsets on this stage with some big levels of darts, and he can turn up and throw when required. I don't think it's going to be required. He will just, I think, brush through tomorrow. The chat room, I think, is almost universally in agreement. Bobsy has got Dukes winning 3-1. Kevin's got Dukes winning 3-1 as well. I think these extra ones are generous. Paddy's got Dukes winning 3-0. Maliki has got Dukes winning 3-1. I think a lot of these sets are, they'd be high-fiving everyone. Just, it's love, isn't it? That's all they want. Ducky Baker's got Dukes winning 3-0, as has Dan Lucas, all boxed up as well. Phil Barnes is in there with a Dukes. There it is at 3-0. Stockport Mackham, Dukes 3-0. We got Juanita going Dukes 3-1. James Dukes 3-0. Very, very heavy. Everyone is agreed in the chat room what's happening in that game. And tomorrow afternoon's highlight. This is a game that I will not be missing. I say I will not be missing it. I'm working from home. I hope the early games run late so I get an opportunity to watch it.
Meetings don't exist on the 22nd of December, mate.
I just hope the early games run late so I can get an opportunity to watch it after I've finished work. Right. James Wade against Ricky Evans. I think this is legitimately fascinating. I have basically made myself look competent for about 18 months now by picking James Wade to run deep in tournaments, and he's been incredibly helpful to me in doing so. Ricky Evans, I fear, as much as I absolutely love Ricky Evans. I love watching him play. I think he's a great bloke. He's a friend of the show. He was on the Live Lounge Live a few weeks ago with us. Like, he's a top guy. But I almost think that this is the point where just the better player beats the one that's not quite there. And it hurts me to say this, but it's James Wade 3-1, I'm afraid.
I agree with a lot that you've said there. I think we might get a bit of a closer game. I think Ricky's going to have spells where he really puts it on Wade. But I think it's going to be who is going to hit the doubles in the last set and who's going to pin that 84 checkout when it matters. And I just see it being James Wade, unfortunately. 3-2. Really close, really good way to end out the afternoon session.
Well, I think they'll put that on his headstone. I think, you know, the man that hit the 81 checkout when it mattered, like that. If that's what the game comes down to, then that's the man that's going to win it, isn't it? And again, I just think, you know, unfortunately for Ricky Evans, he's having to play James Wade, and you know, it is what it is. He's right up there at the minute. He's been one of the best players in the world this year, and I don't see that stopping tomorrow. In the chat room, Kevin has gone Wade winning 3-2. Bobsy's gone Ricky Evans 3-2. Good on him. Good on him. Stockport Mackham, either Wade 3-3. 3-3. We can't have a draw. It's not allowed. Think about it. Try again. James has gone Wade 3-1. Barzy's in there. He's got Wade winning 3-1 as well. All boxed up is Wade 3-1. Wade 3-1 is we've all pretty much, the Venn diagram says it's going to be Wade 3-1. Ducky Baker, Wade 3-1. Paddy's gone the other way. Evans 3-1. Be a big shock, but I'm all for it. It would be entertaining if that happens. Malachi's gone Ricky winning 3-2. Ricky will celebrate with some gravy on. I think it's the last thing he's going to use is some gravy. Dan Lucas has gone Wade winning 3-1. Stockport Mackham's, but he's lost it. He's called a draw, and then he's done every score in the world after that. Yankee Clipper has gone Wade winning 3-2, and Juanita's going late with a Wade 3-1 victory. Very heavy James Wade support, but into the afternoon that we go, and I think the first three of these games, I almost feel like they're going to be a bit boring to predict because
I would have said that about tonight, though.
Yeah, I know, but you can't predict for that, can you?
Fair.
Let's start with the first one. We'll go in order. Jan van Veen against Alan Suter.
I mean, Alan Suter is an incredibly lucky man to still be in this tournament. Given that performance he put in, I don't even give him a set, to be honest. I think this could be done within 25 minutes. And I don't think there'll be any fuss, any dramas. It could be a leg count of 9-2. I can't see there being any drama in that one. 3-0.
Yeah, what he said, easy 3-0. I think it's a bit ironic. I have called out a little bit what, the Alan Suter line that we see here a lot from him lately about how he's not included in things and he doesn't get to qualify for things. And then you look at the guy he's about to play who came into this sport from the very bottom and earned everything in a very quick time and earned loads of money and earned his way into the Euro Tour and earned his way into that, and he did that by playing better darts than everybody else. Like, you can be in the top 16. This argument of, well, I can't be in the top 16. Well, that's because
if you go to every tournament and play really well, you can.
Well, you can if you beat the people that are in there. That's how it works.
Yeah.
That's what a ranking system is. Like, if you're better than them, then you'll be ranked above them. It's how it works. And this is just a play. I think there's so much of a gulf in this. 3-0, easy, very quick, 23 minutes. Very quick. In the chat room, I think there's a few legs being given here and there, but we can forgive that.
We've definitely got a Scotland fan in there with a 3-1
Yeah, I was going to say,
show.
I know there's a few Scottish in the chat room, and they'll be giving heart over head legs to Alan Suter. Kevin's gone Van Veen 3-1, all boxed up Van Veen 3-0, as has Paddy as well. Malachi has given Suter a set. He's gone 3-1. Ducky Baker has gone Van Veen 3-1. Bob G and Dan Lucas are 3-0, as is the Stockport Mackham as well. Juanita has given Suter a set. Robbie's gone 3-1 Suits. That's got to be a pick from Glasgow. Like, a guaranteed he's in Glasgow at the minute.
It might even be Suits himself.
It's got to be Scottish, Robbie. I don't know where you are, but I know you're in Scotland. I know you're north of the border. You're not too far from me up there. Barzy has gone Jan winning 3-0, as had James as well. Game number 2 tomorrow, and I feel a pattern might be emerging here. I don't know. Last night we had our representative on from the CDC. A lot of CDC interaction last night in the chat room because of that. But Dumfries, of course he's in Scotland. I know, of course he is. The only person to pick an Alan Suter win is in Dumfries. Bloody brilliant, yeah. Be going for breakfast with him in a couple of days. Nathan Aspinall against Leonard Gates.
I mean, the only point of debate in my head is, can I give Gates a set? Just because I don't want to keep seeing 3-0 about every match. Aspinall could maybe start slow and be a bit sloppy, and Gates. No, 3-0 Aspinall. I can't. I'm sorry. I tried.
Oh, well done, because I'm glad you did that, because it makes it less boring, because I am going to go 3-2 Aspinall. Like, I definitely think Aspinall gets it done. I think he goes 2-0 up, and then dicks about like double trouble. Like, do you know what? So I think Stockport is on the same. Stockport Mackham said it. Asp 3-2 after double trouble. That's exactly what I see. Like, I think Aspinall goes 2-0 up, fucks around, and then Leonard gets a couple of legs because he'll be there or thereabouts. Like, Leonard will do okay, but if you get to a point that's better than him, then he can't keep up. Like, he just won't keep up. If Nathan gets to the right level, Leonard can't keep up. He just hasn't got that game in him anywhere. But I think what will happen is Nathan will race to 2-0. He'll dick around. Leonard will get a couple of sets. Nathan will gather himself, realise in a match, and get the job.
I hope so. That'll be good to watch if it goes close and goes to the last set.
Yeah, it'll make for a good fallout back tomorrow when we talk about it. If that goes to, I mean, if that game goes to like sudden death, then like that's entertainment wise, that's outrageous. In the chat room, Kevin has gone Aspinall 3-1, all boxed up Aspinall 3-0. Malachi's gone 3-1 to the Asp. James has gone Asp wins from 3-2 down. He might have to win from 2-2. I don't know. I can't work that out. It's too late. Paddy's gone Aspinall winning 3-0. Dan Lucas has got Aspinall winning 3-1. Very Asp heavy. I think we thought this would be the case. James has gone, there we go. He wins 3-2 from 2-0 down. James has corrected himself. Thank you very much, James. Stockport Mackham has got it bang on the nose with a 3-2 after double trouble, like we said. Ducky Baker has gone Aspinall winning 3-1. Bobsy is in with that as well, as is Barzy. Me and Barzy have agreed a lot tonight, and that doesn't happen very often. So stay away from Paddy Power tomorrow, folks. Like, I mean, their sponsors, they're great. Use them. Darts of Destiny is incredible, but don't follow me and Barzy because we very rarely agree. And Juanita has gone Leonard Gates winning 3-2. Juanita doing it for the soldier. Someone's got to pick him, and there is a pick in there for him. Oh, this is beautiful. Like, what a game, Dan. Before this tournament started, when we had the draw, all I said, and I said it on the live lounge loads of times, I said, just give me one thing. Like, please give me Paul Lim against Luke Littler, because I want to see that contrast of, I want to see that montage that Sky will create, of that and then this. And I just think it's quite beautiful. And if you can't give me Paul Lim against Luke Littler, give me Paul Lim winning a match at the World Championships on the Alexandra Palace and then playing Luke Humphries. Like, this is perfect. It's a dream match for me. It's Luke Humphries 3-0. Of course it is. Yeah. But I will be sat on the sofa. I will drag the family together. I'll make sure all three kids are sat there to watch this little piece of darts history. And it's not the handing over of the baton, because it doesn't work like that. We get lots of different people doing different things in darts, but I just think there's a bit of romance to it, isn't there?
Just start a leg with a 180 once or twice, please. Paul Lim, just give us that belief for a few seconds.
Give us somewhere.
I mean, look, there's almost no need to even discuss the scoreline. It's 3-0. Paul Lim's won a game at the World Championships. That should be the only story.
Just the fact that this game exists is enough.
It's brilliant. I mean, just go 4 perfect into a leg. Make me believe for 5 seconds that you're going to recreate it, and
I'll tell you what, right?
More than enough.
I tell you what, at 2-0 up, right? At 2-0 up, 2-1 up in legs. When Paul Lim goes 8 darts deep, there's nobody in the world that wants that last one going in more than Luke Humphries. Because Luke Humphries is a darts fan as well, and he loves that, and I promise you, when if right at the, like Luke Humphries wants it to happen. Luke Humphries wants that. He wants that history. I think it's a beautiful game. I think it's really Luke is he's so good, and he's achieved so much. And I just think it's such a big contrast that we rarely get to see, especially the distance in time apart from the amazing things they've both done in the sport. I think it's a really cool game, and everyone should get up for it and watch it and pay attention. However, I'm not. Am I? I'm not. Oh, hang on. Right. Oh, bollocks. I'm going to have to, because they're not all the same weirdos. All Boxed Up's gone 3-0. Dan Lucas has gone 3-0. James has gone 3-0. Kevin's gone 3-0. I haven't mentioned who it's to. It's all to Luke Humphries. Yeah, Marky's gone 3-0 as well. Paddy said another 3-0. I think we're pretty confident what that is. Bobsy's gone 3-1. I wouldn't normally put that up, but Bobsy's a member. He subscribes every month, so he always gets his comments on no matter what he's saying. Even if it's complete nonsense, complete drivel, he still gets.
I really do. I want Bobsy to be right.
Oh, man, if he gets a set, then again, it'd be amazing. Barzy's gone in 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 9-0, yeah. Juanita's gone through 2. Oh, I tell you what, if Juanita's picks are right tomorrow, we'll have the best Fallout bar ever tomorrow. I'll get through 2 bottles of wine on tomorrow's show. If Juanita's picks are right,
crowd in a deciding set, imagine it.
Stockport Mackham's gone 3-0, 9 legs to 1. Again, I'm happy with that one. That'll do me just fine. Video Smurf was in there with a 3-0. Yankee Clipper. Lim gets a set. He believes him. I mean, again, I genuinely think if Lim gets 1 set, Luke Humphries is absolute. But I think Luke Humphries celebrates that. Paul Lim gets 2 sets. Luke Humphries shits himself.
Sure. Yeah. 50p, 5p is
there's a
on
huge
the
emotional journey between Paul Lim getting 1 set and 2 sets. One involves Luke Humphries clapping him and everyone cheering. Yeah. And the second one involves him shitting himself going, oh, fucking hell, this could go wrong.
He can't. He just can't. He's not going to get a set.
No,
I really hope I'm wrong. I will sit there and smile next time I'm on the Fallout bar and say I know nothing about darts.
Yeah, I've got it all wrong. Fine,
but it's not going to happen, is it? Unfortunately,
I've been doing that for 5 years on this show, mate. Believe you me. For 5 years now, I've been sat on this show going, I know absolutely nothing. I don't know why anybody listens. Last game tomorrow. And this, I genuinely think, we've talked about the last few, and there's a few games, all of the evening session with everyone's leaning very, very much over one way. I think this is interesting. I think it's interesting because I'm not quite sure what we're going to see. I think it's interesting because we see, a young player that could be huge in this game. Young Charlie Manby is he's a superb player. Adam Sevada, again, he's done so much very, very well over in the United States, and a lot of people haven't seen his best darts. And that's the case for a lot of the American guys that have come over. They've not been able to find the biggest problem with the North Americans that have come over to the World Championships this year is so many of them have been so far away from the level that they produce when they're back home. Adam Savada only an 88 average in the first round. Charlie Manby came through that, ridiculous debacle of a situation with Cam Menzies. Manby wins 3-1. Bit safe, that. Bit safe.
Yeah.
I knew as soon as I said it, I knew it was a bit safe because I couldn't quite commit one way or the other. I didn't think it was going to be that tight. I wasn't sure he'd boss it, and I feel like I've gone a bit safe. But Manby wins 3-1.
I'm going to go Manby 3-0 and it's a really impressive.
Yeah, see, that's you've gone.
I think it'll be 3-1, but I can't go with that. It's boring to see the same.
Yeah, it's boring. Of course, it's boring. Yeah, and 3-1's a bit safe because you're not committing to the full swing.
Yeah.
Right, last game of the night. Let's have a little look in the chat room. I think Kevin's got in first. Mambi 3-2 in a 90 average tense game. Yeah, could be. I mean, I'm all for that. I'm not if it goes to sudden death and we're on here in 12:15 tomorrow for a start. Bobsy's got Mambi winning 3-0. All Boxed Up has got Mambi winning 3-1. Paddy's got a 3-2 Mambi win. I think we're very heavy on Charlie Mambi. Boo, but I can see a little rogue one further down we're going to get to in a minute. And some people think he knows what he's talking about. Malachi's gone Mambi winning 3-1. Video Smurf has gone Mambi winning 3-1. Juanita has got Adam Savada winning 3-2. Dan Lucas has got Charlie Mambi winning 3-1. Stockholm Mackham has got Mambi winning 3-1. Phil Bars, darts expert, the hardest working man in darts, has got Savada winning 3-2, 5-3 in the final set. He's just like, I know that's Phil manifesting chaos and me getting onto this show at about 1:45 in the morning tomorrow when I've got
Phil's just planning how to get the most views out of tomorrow, isn't it? What's going to create the most drama?
Yeah, I'll tell you what's not creating the drama. Me sat like knackered, falling asleep. We work the next day at 1:30 in the morning. We're 7 viewers or something on here going, yeah, and then Adam Savada won in extra time. That's not views. James has got 3-1 Charlie Mambi. And that, folks, brings to an end the online darts Fallout Bar for day 11 of the Paddy Power World Championship of Darts 2026. That feels weird still, even now to say it. And I know it's not there yet, but that's when the final is. Thank you as ever, everybody. You've been absolutely top draw in the chat room as always. We've been absolutely bouncing tonight. I think we've had more chat room action tonight than we've had for the last, well, certainly for the last few days. I think the weekend, as everyone's got Christmas parties, everything's going on, but absolutely superb to see you all back in the chat room tonight. We've got some belting predictions that we will come and unpick tomorrow. Dan Spedding, you've been a superstar as ever throughout the tournament. Absolutely amazing to have you along. Thank you all for tuning in. We have been the Online Darts Fallout Bar. We will be back tomorrow. Thank you very, very much indeed. And good night.
Introducing the Paddy Power World Darts Championship.